Hey everybody, it's BSJ here, and I am here to give a follow-up to the announcement of the Dota Dojo community that we released last week. And I'd like to be clear that we released that intentionally only to my secondary YouTube channel because I usually get like 1,000 views max on these videos. And this video got 22,000 views so far, and we have 1.6k members already. So that's fucking awesome. It really is. It's a problem, but it's an awesome problem. But I guess what I'm saying right now is this is exciting, but we were not expecting it to go at this pace. We initially wanted a very soft launch because we think the most important part about this whole thing is the community building aspect of making sure that the like-mindedness and the positive mindset and reducing of toxicity, pretty much annihilation of toxicity, eradication, is what we're going for. So having a lot of people join at once definitely poses some concerns. Fortunately, we've had to do hardly any modding or moderating. We've only had to do a few bans, and we've had to nudge a couple people in the right direction. We are going to be releasing a video on the Discord server itself, giving you guys a much better idea of the acceptable behavior and, you know, vibes and the rules that we're going for, you know, in my own words. And that will be coming out soon. But the main purpose of this video is to be fully transparent about what we're doing here. Because one of the initial concerns about the Dota Dojo Discord server was that we had a few services that were behind a paywall that weren't even done yet. And the paywall wasn't even set up. Like, you couldn't even sign up if you wanted to. And people were basically saying that those are basic things, or this is a server only about making money. And like, what is BSJ and the team's intention here? And these are understandable concerns. And so I want to take some time in this video to talk about the vision of this community and what we're going to be doing with it to not only address these concerns, but also talk about the bigger picture. So something I touched a bit on last week was that when I made this, or when we started making this, part of my inspiration came from the neglect and abandonment that I felt from Valve. The fact that they had nurtured this big community, this super loyal, decade-plus long community, and it feels like the toxicity portion of Dota has just been allowed to run rampant. It feels like... honestly, it just feels like they don't give a shit anymore, you know? And I think it feels like, putting it nicely, they just don't give a shit anymore about the community aspect of things. They've handed TI off to PGL. They gave us a Mortal Draft and never touched it again. The report system, yeah, they do like ban waves every now and then, but that's about it. And so rather than being here and talking about all this shit that I hate, meaning it burns me to my core, it feels so shitty that this is how it is. Rather than talking about that, I'm here to ask myself, what do I believe in this community? You know, like, what do I have to do for myself to do right by myself, to do right by the Dota community in order to, yeah, be happy with myself and be able to sleep at night? And one sentiment that really bothers me about the Dota community is, we've moved on from Valve now. We've accepted, they don't care. Is that people have this doom and gloom. Dota community is eternally doomed. They suck, like trash, like get out of here, don't join us. And why am I even here? The game is dying. And the fact is, it's still like top 5 games on Steam. And still like an average of like 600k concurrent or something like this. It's a massive game. And a lot of the people that are in a similar spot to me, people who are making money from this game, I'm not going to name names, but it feels like the general sentiment is, okay, this game is dying. You know, basically how much longer do we have and how much more money can we make from this game before we have to go do something else? And so this obviously is a thought that's crossed my mind. People ask me about it all the time, like viewers, coworkers, whatever. And I understand that eventually the Dota community is not going to look like what it does now. And the game itself may cease to keep getting updates, whatever. But what I do believe is that we haven't really given ourselves a chance because there's been nobody who's made a concerted effort. I guess that has the ability to do so. Maybe it's not that there's nobody that's done it, but at least I feel like nobody with the reach in the community. I'd like to think I have enough reach to potentially make this happen. Has not made a meaningful movement towards how can we restore a community of positivity and how can we basically, get rid of the bad eggs. How can we punish those who we don't want to be around? Like, just get them out of here, So, what... I just got a funny message from somebody on the team. That's why I'm laughing. So what we're doing here, I've got big dreams. And I would like to think that if I end up leaving the Dota community, that at the very least I left something behind that I'm proud of. And part of that is what I'm envisioning with Dota Dojo. And that's assuming I ever do leave. But I'm thinking about endless amounts of educational content, classes, environment where people can spitball ideas and learn from each other. Effectively a place for all of us to nerd the fuck out about Dota. That's what I always loved when I was starting Dota, and I feel like it's just kind of dwindled in terms of the ability to do that. Because it just gets drowned out by toxicity, basically. That's number one. Number two is, the potential to have like leagues, ability to find people to play with, the ability to have tournaments, in-house games, educational Smurf lobbies, things that I can do with you guys that helps me make better content, classes, right? So when I look at this community, I think the potential in terms of the educational side and the community side is almost endless, but it's also going to be something that takes a long time to nurture. So the initial concerns about the community being about the monetization, and honestly, I understand that there's a lot of people who are kind of like, how do we squeeze everything out of the Dota community in terms of money, and then I leave, There is a lot of that. And so what I can tell you that I promise I'm not, is that I'm not doing that. But what we do need in order to make this vision happen is money. That's just how it is. We have a lot of people working on this. There's going to be a lot of passion, effort, time, manpower invested into this community. And at the end of the day, what I'm hoping with this community is that there's enough people that are willing to invest their time, and in this case, a little bit of money, to make something like this happen. Because I already said it once, we can't do it without you. We can't do it without your literal support within the community being a part of it. And we can't do it without at least some of you paying, right? And the important and here is that the one feeling we never want is for somebody to feel like they have to pay in order to be a part of this community. That's not like something I expect from you or a requirement. Things that are like classes and extra features, those things are going to eventually be behind a paywall or coming out, and they will be behind a paywall. But there's going to be plenty of stuff, and we're always going to be listening. We're always going to be listening, and we're going to be building new features, and we're going to be listening to your guys' complaints and criticisms about what is behind a paywall, what's not behind a paywall, what you guys wish was available, whether it's not available at all, or whether it's behind a paywall currently, whether you guys think the prices are too high. All I can say is the hopelessness that comes from my end about Valve is because it feels like there's nothing to say anymore. Like, we don't really hear anything from them very often. It feels like if we try to ask for something, it's just kind of shouting into the void. And so the one thing I will always promise is that we will listen. And I think it's one of the most important things when I've noticed about like game devs and their communities is when the community who's playing the game feels like the game devs are listening to them. So the one thing I can always promise you guys is that we will listen to the community that we are building here, and that I would like to think that I'm not tone deaf, that I'm not so unaware of this type of stuff, that I will be so far gone that you guys will be unable to reach me. That's the one thing I would like to think for myself. And that's also part of my mental health journey has been really about embracing and accepting myself and learning to be more and more emotionally aware and also situationally aware, not being the guy in the room that just doesn't seem to know what the fuck's going on, the vibes, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a very important skill to be able to make something like this happen, where you listen to your community, you basically continue steering the 1% changes in the right direction. This isn't going to be something that we're not going to build an empire overnight, but if we're going to go down the road on a tightrope, we can promise we will slowly adjust little bit by little bit to steer us in the right direction. So today, I wanted to just be fully transparent with you guys. The fact that we are going to be having paid features and we are going to need to make money in order to make this work. And that there's always going to be a place for you in this community if you don't have the means or you don't, have the investment time to put money into this community. That's fine. But what I would like to announce about the immediate future is that I am going to be releasing a video, like 3 to 5 minutes, give or take, on the Discord server itself that's going to much more clearly outline the rules and the things that we're going to be making sure don't happen, at least to our best capabilities, in our community. And the biggest part about this is that some of these things are obvious, the xenophobia, racism, all this type of stuff. Obviously, that's not going to be permitted. But I also think there's a lot of things that are considered normalized within the Dota community that a lot of us don't even know we're doing sometimes. So with those type of things, those are going to be laid out, but we're going to be in the beginning having a lot more leeway and more so steering the community in the right direction. And we're going to be operating a bit on okay, there's blatantly things that you're going to get banned for, and there's going to be a group of things that are more mild but not accepted that will be given warnings for. And so you will have the ability to shape yourself with us and learn and grow. And as long as you're taking accountability and you care about learning and growing, I think you'll fit right in here at the Dota Dojo. And just catching a glimpse of the people who've already been there, there's been some bad eggs, like I said, that we had to ban, but there's also been some hints at bad eggs that were then criticized or gently called out, and they actually apologized. And they said, I see what you're saying. I'll do my best to do better next time. And that was the most exciting part for me when I already saw that happening, is that if you come into this with an open mind, with the idea to be accountable, that we're all going to do that, and that we're also going to assume the best intentions of people within this community, because that's what I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to be assuming the best intentions for you guys. I hope you would assume the best intentions for me. And I understand that this community is not going to be for everyone, but I guess what I'm trying to say is if you do believe in this, even a fraction as much as I do, I can't wait to see what we can accomplish together and see what we can make happen out of the Dota Dojo. We'll be releasing countless updates on the server. I'll probably be using this channel a large way to be talking about our vision for it as we move forward and the lessons learned along the way, more of like a behind the scenes kind of thoughts, because I'm going to be spending so much time and energy thinking about this server that I imagine a lot of the lessons I learned will tie into it somehow. So it's not really even changing the direction of this channel. It's more so just the context of it's going to be largely revolving around this. But in the immediate future as well, last announcement is that, I did talk about some paid features. One thing we are going to be doing is group classes. And the first one with me is going to be this coming Monday at 7 p.m. Central European time. And it's going to be an hour and a half. And the idea for the early ones, because I do need to get a good idea of what you guys want to be learning, is to basically have you guys come with gameplay clips, like short ones, or just questions about the game. You're struggling with this, that, and this, and the more context you can give, the better. But I'm going to be answering questions in a group class setting, and we're going to be doing that for 90 minutes. It will be $5 for anyone who wants to join. There's going to be about 25 slots, and that's going to be our first event of sorts, with I can't even imagine how many more to come, but I honestly just the entire time I've been talking about this, I'm surprised I kind of stayed on track because my brain is just racing about all the things that could possibly be happening with this server. But without letting myself go on and run on this video, I'm just going to say thank you so much for your support already, guys. If you haven't joined already, make sure to click the Discord link in the description below to get yourself in there. And if you have joined already, thank you so much for your support, and we'll look forward to making this all happen. See you guys in the next update.